What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. And this one, we have the view on America after living abroad in the UK. Absolutely love Max. Y'all go check his channel out. He's super fire with these interviews. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy this, please don't forget to smash that subscribe, get a video a thumbs up. Also, if you like to support this channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is hit that join button to receive your exclusive benefits. Let's dive right in.
It was a huge culture shock for me. And I was like,
Mm.
there is a whole world out there, and America's maybe not the greatest country in the world.
This is Silby. She's from
I
America but
feel
has
that.
lived in Sweden and the UK for
Oh,
7 years. We discussed
nice.
what's wrong with American tourists abroad, why deadlines in Britain are often perceived as flexible, and how long it takes for an American to start understanding British English. I'm Max, let's
This
go.
should be
When
fun.
I moved outside of the US for the first time, when I moved to Sweden back then, country has like different pros and cons, but
Yeah,
I was kind of brainwashed as a child, like in, your school, like
yeah,
America's the greatest country, you know? But then when I was
yeah.
exposed to all these, different types of cultures and meeting different type of people, I realized, oh, there's a whole world out there. And I really enjoyed my life living in Europe at the time, and I was able to travel so easily. After that ended, I moved back to the States, and I just realized I just don't feel like I belong here
Oh,
anymore because I was exposed
Oh.
to outside world. So I'm like,
oh,
I need to get out of here.
You mentioned that like growing up you were taught that US is the greatest country in the world, then you moved
yeah.
to Sweden, to Europe. What was the biggest revelation, or what was the biggest shock that, oh, it's not like that, it's not what I thought?
Well,
Hmm.
the biggest revelation when I first moved to Sweden is how people were less superficial. I'm from the US, but like I grew up in LA. So LA is, Hollywood. Everybody cares about
Yeah.
the celebrities.
You grew up in a rich town. You grew up in a town with some money. But she was right about the school thing. You are here. It feels like you are almost brainwashed to believe that, like, America's the greatest country in the world. They don't teach us about the rest of the world. They don't, unless it's like something bad about the rest of the world. And so they like will show like, hey, people here getting trafficked and all of this type of stuff, and so he's like, oh, I'm scared to go there. And it almost they first they get you by telling you that America's the greatest country in the world, and then they kind of instill like a small fear in you that, like, if you go abroad something's going to happen to you. And so it's a lot of that growing up, that we're told. And then I have not gotten the chance to travel. I want to. I believe it'll be so incredible just kind of get outside of America and experience like she did, just experiencing the world. But I've gotten to do a lot of reactions. I've gotten to see a lot of Americans go abroad. Plenty of people going abroad talking about like, there's so many great things over here. America lied to me about going here. America lied to me about doing this. America, it's like people eyes are getting open when getting to experience the rest of the world, and it's truly amazing for me to kind of sit back and see all of these things. And I'm like, oh, in Europe a lot of these countries had that healthcare is a right and not a privilege. Oh, the UK has the NHS. For there's private insurance as well, so maybe you get quicker service, better service on private insurance, but you know you're taken care of through the NHS, right? You know that it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're gonna be good. And I know it does come out of your taxes. I know that, but at the same time, like, it's a right for everyone. The NHS is available for everyone, whereas here I don't have health care at the moment. So were I to hurt myself, it'd probably bankrupt me, which is a sad reality. But that's just healthcare. And then you talk about gun control. You talk about like mass shootings, school shootings. This stuff is not normal here. It's not normal. There's a lot of issues, and don't get me twisted. Like, I do love the U.S. I'm not just trying to bash the U.S., but I'm also realistic in seeing that the U.S. has a lot of issues that a lot of other countries in the world don't have these issues. But we're not taught that. But I don't know why I went on that rant. We go let him continue.
What they look like, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
that world. I mean, I gotta say, I don't represent the whole of America. It's just, I just know what I know.
I
In the
understand
West
that.
Coast, and especially LA and San Francisco, from that kind of flashy kind of atmosphere that I grew up in, and then go to Sweden where people are a little bit more relaxed about like the way they look. Nobody has to look perfect. Nobody has to get plastic surgery all the time, or, that kind of very laid backness. And then people were actually, I guess, being in the industry that I was in, everyone was talking about the like latest new technology, the most
Yeah.
expensive holiday, and like the Michelin star restaurant. And then when I went to
Dang.
Stockholm, people were just completely happy going mushroom picking. That kind of,
I love that.
rustic
I love
environment.
that.
And that was the first time I realized being in the nature is actually kind of better than, purchasing that, hottest new designer bag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People really valued family quality time. Whereas in the US, when I was working in marketing, it's like, I gotta admit, in my early to mid 20s, I was a bad friend because I was never there for them because work got in the way.
Mm,
I promised them that I was going to be at their birthday party. However, I wasn't able to make it because just
dang.
the last minute work came along. And that was like the biggest thing that I had to, that's the most important thing in my life. I had to get it
Yeah.
done. But
Yeah.
when I moved to Sweden, I realized that people were very punctual and they really cared about keeping their promises when they
Love
tell
that.
them that they're going to be there for their friend. Everyone around them respected that. Like their work colleagues respected that.
How do you think
Yes.
Europeans see
I
Americans?
think there's just such a big work life balance difference in a lot of other countries than here in the US. And so where she said like early to mid 20s work was like the most important priority in her life. So she did have to bail on promises that she'd make to friends. She wasn't able to be there for them because something always came up with work, and that's the case in a lot of situations here in America where work is that number one priority. And so you feel like a bad friend, I guess, in a sense, and that's just not a great way to live because at the end of the day, like we only get one life to live, and if you're wasting your time like slaving away, then you're not really getting the chance to live. You're not getting to create memories. You're not. It's not great. But that's kind of how it is. And then the superficialness she's talking about, right? You gotta have a new designer bag. You gotta have the new technology coming out. You gotta have this. You gotta have that. And I think that once again, that's kind of the American mindset that's put inside you growing up. That consumerism mindset: consume, consume, consume. Get the latest this, get the latest that. She's like, no, like in Sweden, I was happy going mushroom picking. Like that was fun, and I absolutely freaking love that. All right, continue. I'm loving her perspective right
Like
now.
their work colleagues respected that.
How do you think Europeans see Americans? Let's say specifically British. How do they see Americans? Do they have any prejudices when they find out you're from the US? What's the reputation you think of Americans?
We're loud. I kind of noticed how patriotic Americans are compared to maybe rest of the world was when I was watching the Olympics. It's
Yeah.
just Americans are always the loudest, even when you're like when it's being broadcasted and I watch it and then everyone's like USA, USA. And then I don't hear other countries being that loud, So that's when I was, oh sorry, we're really loud, poorly dressed. We're a bit
Oh,
obnoxious, kind of
hey,
demanding, I
ow,
guess.
ow.
Because American people are used to like customer service, really good
Yeah.
customer service. That's one thing also shocked me when I moved to Sweden as well. There's no sense of customer service because everyone's just individual and you just rely on yourself. That's very independent culture. Whereas in America, you just want to be cared for because usually you need a tip at the end. So that's
Exactly.
what they expect people outside of the
Exactly.
country. And that they're just getting normal service in that country, but they're like, oh my God, the service here is so horrible. Like, did you see that? Like, it was so rude. Like, that kind of mentality that I can see how Americans come up as a little bit annoying and obnoxious. Typical American tourists, when they come out of the country for the first time, they think they own the world, maybe because of the patriotic belief system that is so instilled in us when
Yeah.
you're growing up in school.
For me, the most important thing in
I
life.
feel like yes, 100% that she's again right on the money. Again, growing up, you are taught to be patriotic, which I don't see anything wrong with being patriotic. I don't see anything wrong with being proud of the country you're from, being happy about where you're from. But when you go to travel and you go to other countries, right? Go there and take in their culture. Take in how they do things without judgment, saying, "Oh, in America we do it like this. Oh, in America it's better like this." Don't do that, cause just stay. If you feel like that, just stay in America. But if you are going to travel abroad, like take in everything about the country that you're visiting or about the city that you're in. Take in everything about the culture. Take in everything about the people. I think that's a really fantastic way of doing things. But she said kind of what she shot. Yeah, we are very patriotic like here in the U.S. And then we are loud. I've noticed that myself just reacting to these videos. I'm like, sheesh. I see myself as more of a quiet person here, but I feel like yeah, from overseas, from a lot of the things that I've seen from other countries, I'll probably be pretty loud in these countries, which is absolutely crazy to me. But and then customer service, yeah, a customer service here is so great because they are working for a tip. Because it's like, yeah, they do want that tip at the end, so they're going to give the best customer service. Which I love great customer service. I don't love that the company puts the responsibility of paying these workers on the customers instead of the companies actually paying these workers a livable wage. I don't like that at all. But in Sweden, she said like yeah. So when they not getting the same customer service that they get in America, they're upset about it. But like no, this is an individual being paid the living wage. They're not going to like suck up to you, kiss your feet, all that. It's not a the customer's always right type of vibe anymore. And so, yeah, I can see that being a culture shock to America's traveling abroad.
It's not business. It's not even this YouTube channel. It's the happiness
I'ma
of
skip the
myself, my
sponsor.
family, and my friends. What about the language? So, do you have any difficulties, or like, was it weird for you how people use words for you as an American?
Yes. Oh my God. Communication was really hard for me, I gotta say, because we speak the same language, but the accent was so different. So I'm sure it's kind of amusing to think that I had better time communicating with Swedish people who spoke English than British people who spoke English because when I first came here, I knew that they were speaking English, but I was not used to it, so I had no idea what they were saying. I felt like it was completely a foreign language. First, like 2 years, I think I absolutely needed subtitles to watch TV. And also, there's so many
Dang.
different accents here, even in the city of
Very
London.
diverse city.
People have different accents, so I just couldn't figure it out. I was a little bit afraid to speak or to engage in any kind of deep conversation with British people when I first started because it sounded like a foreign language. But now, over time, I'm used to it. I don't have any fears of talking to my clients about what grooming requirements they have, having consultations. I have no problem communicating with them nowadays, but first 2 years, definitely, it was a huge adjustment. Scottish accent, I still cannot understand it.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
But
I
the
feel
funny thing
that.
is,
I
some
feel
of
that.
my American friends tell me that I have kind of adopted some of like British, I don't think accents, but like
Oh,
words
slang.
that I use. They find that very funny when I say like, oh, she like when I describe a dog, oh, he's so cheeky, and like Americans will never say that word.
Uh-uh.
They're like, oh, bless her. Like I thought I would never, use that kind of expression. Americans will say, take the trash out. Whereas
Yeah.
like here, take the bin out. But now I use like the bin instead of the trash. So my Americans
Yeah.
make fun of me for that I've turned British.
Yeah.
What do you think
It's
people?
like I feel like you just adjust to the environment that you're in, and now that she's in the UK and around British and hearing that language all the time, same language, we both speak English, but we have different slang and different phrases that we use, and so now she's starting to adopt some of that, which is really fascinating. Yeah, as an American friend, I'll be like, dang, she used to talk like that. Hey, yeah, I laugh too, like, hey, you saying a lot of British things now, but that's really cool. I think the accents, yeah, I feel like anywhere you go, even if they speak the same language, adjusting the accents can be difficult as well. Me and my wife were trying to watch the Bob Marley movie yesterday, where this Jamaican accent is very strong accent in the movie, and they talk quickly, and so after like 1 minute, we immediately put on the subtitles, but the subtitles they had, and we're reading the subtitles. I'm like, I still have don't know what they're saying, even with the subtitles because they talk very differently. It's like, I guess for example, I'd say, um, hey officer, like they came in and they took shots at us, and in the movie it'd be like, officer, me, he said, me sitting in my house, they running bullets firing at us, something like that. And I hope that's not seen badly in any type of way. I'm telling y'all how it was kind of in the movie, so it was very hard for us to understand. Anyway, before I say something and people cancel me for saying the wrong thing, let's continue.
Yeah.
Americans make fun of me for that I've turned British.
Why do you think people are friendlier? And maybe, okay, that's the first one. And the second one, what do you think the biggest difference in mentality if you compare Americans? Like, let's say I'm generalizing, but typical Americans versus typical British.
Americans are very friendly and approachable from the outside. You can just talk to a stranger. You can
Yeah.
just start a conversation with anyone, and people will generally be friendly to you. Although I think British people are a little bit more American in a sense that they might think that you're really weird, but they could still talk to you.
Okay.
Maybe if you catch the right person. But I remember when I was in Sweden, people were more reserved there. So if you try to start a conversation with random stranger, they're like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, I don't, you don't interrupt me, don't disturb my peace. They will be more shy or, again, like reserved about talking to just random people, I guess. So in that sense, I guess Americans can come off as like more friendly outside, but that doesn't mean that they're gonna always gonna be there for you. For
Yeah.
example, like if you're a foreigner coming to the US and that you struck a conversation with some American, and they feel like they're completely like your new friend, and then they might be like, we should totally hang out, but then when? And it never happened.
Facts.
Whereas
Facts.
um, whereas if you said that to a Swede in Sweden, they will show up. They
I
will
got
make
you.
up they will be there for your, I don't know, they'll make sure that you actually do hang out at some point. I think
Yeah.
it's more similar here in the UK. I think people will, if they set up a date, they will try to show up, I guess, more in that sense. Unlike Americans. But I don't know. I don't want to sound like Americans are horrible. No, they're not. It's just that we're
Thank you.
overly friendly
Thank you.
when we don't mean it sometimes.
Being
Agreed.
Asian,
I feel like agreed. And I think I watched a Poland video where he kind of explained it very well. Where they say Americans are like a peach culture, like, and then he's talking about Poland being like a coconut culture in the sense of Americans are very like soft on the outside, like she said, overly friendly, easy to start a conversation, but you get in the middle of that peach and there's like a hard like uh whatever seed nut whatever it's called is pit. I think it's called a pit. You get a hard pit, and so whereas coconut culture, right, it might be harder to crack, might not be as friendly, might be harder to become friends with that person, talk to that person, but once you crack that outside shell, that hard exterior, on the inside you're gonna get the softness and everything. And so that's kind of perfect like analogy I can use to like explain a lot of it, which I didn't know. Like I thought everybody was just kind of, I guess because I've never traveled and before doing reaction I didn't know about the rest of the world. I thought everybody was kind of in a sense the same, but no, there's like very different cultures. And Americans, yeah, we are over friendly. We will talk to strangers. We will spark other conversations, which I do appreciate. Right, it's cool meet new people. But she's right also in the sense of like, yeah, we should totally hang out, meet up sometime. And that meet up or hang out will never happen. So like, yeah, we're overly friendly in the beginning, but I guess to crack inside of our inner circle, it is very difficult, I would say. But I feel like once you're in the inner circle, again with Americans, you're also like locked in. Like my inner circle of friends, like I'm there for you no matter what. Like I'm locked in with my inner circle. but I can go out on the streets and be very nice to strangers. Yet I'm like, I wouldn't. It'd be very hard for you to get in my inner circle. I'm like, I got my group of friends. I already got it. I'm locked in. But okay, let's continue.
And where you feel more comfortable, in the US or in Britain?
I was very lucky that I didn't feel awkward being an Asian person living in the States. I
Okay.
would say I don't feel uncomfortable being an Asian person in this country, or at least this city, because this city is so international.
Mm.
But I think when I moved to Stockholm, there was a little bit of a culture shock. But that was like 2012 or something. So that was already like, more than 10 years ago, right? And it was still, I would say Sweden was still more homogenous than,
Mm.
say, London. When they
Okay.
saw me, like a single Asian woman, just walking down the street, I didn't look like a tourist. So they kind of questioned, like, I felt a little bit uncomfortable, I would say. I did
Okay.
experience, like, some kids, drunken kids on their, public transport telling me to go back to my country.
Do you miss
Wow.
anything from your life in the
I
US?
hate when people tell people that. That literally annoys me to no end. But she was comfortable. She said comfortable in the U.S. U.S. is a very diverse place. It's a mixing pot of so many different nationalities, so many different races, so many different ethnicities. Um, London, I learned, is a very diverse place. Again, nationalities, ethnicities, races, and everything. And the UK as a whole is a very diverse country as well. And so, but then you go to Stockholm, where she says they're a little more homogenous, so a little bit less diversity going on. And so, in the beginning, she may have felt a little more awkward or out of place, but it seemed like she did end up loving her time in Sweden.
Public transport telling me to go back to my country.
Do you miss anything from your life in the US?
There are certain things that I do miss about America is when I was opening this business, how hard it is to get things done in this country. For example, when you have like a plan to build a store, for example, with your contractors, your construction workers or whatnot, like the companies that you work with, they will have a set timeline and the deadlines, and they will try to meet those dates no matter what,
Yeah.
because in America, if things go wrong, people will sue you, or at least
Facts.
threaten to sue you, and it is
Facts.
possible. So people generally do get things done on time because they
Yeah.
don't want any repercussions if they don't meet their deadlines. Whereas in this country, the laws are a bit different, so it takes a lot of patience. So there are certain things. I opened this shop in June, and I'm supposed to have a daycare portion of the business in my basement unit. However, my landlord has to fix certain things, which she still hasn't. So it's
Oh
been
wow.
almost like more than 10 months because she was supposed to fix this place even before I opened
Oh
this
wow.
salon in June. So these things I take for legal advice, but there's no way around it. As long as like she's willing to fix it for me, it's just taking a long time because people don't show up, people don't meet the deadlines, or they just don't
Oh.
have deadlines. They don't want to give you the deadlines. It's kind of like a complacent sense of
Oh.
getting your work done that exists in this country a little bit is really challenging for me and
Yeah.
for I think a lot of other people, but people just put up with it. The mentality is keep calm and carry on.
In terms of safety,
Yeah, I feel like definitely here you try to start a business. Like, yeah, definitely people have deadlines and people want to meet those deadlines because you want to build a good reputation because that then right you may refer to them to another person and then they may have another project after. All right, well, let's get your shop built. Let's get everything done here. Then we got a project here. Then we got a project here. So you're trying to meet or even beat those deadlines because there's more money to be made, and you're trying to in the land of the America, the dollar is the bottom line. It's the almighty. Everybody worships the dollar, and so you're literally trying to make as much money as possible. So you're trying to do things as quick as you can. And yeah, landlord taking that long, it would definitely be unacceptable. Like if you had the means here, you would definitely take like go to court and be like, it's been 10 months, like, and I think that's kind of 10 months is kind of ridiculous, ridiculously long time to wait for something to get done, for something to be fixed. So I can understand where she's coming from in that sense of America. Yeah, you're trying to meet or beat deadlines. These companies are so they can move on, and then so they can try to build their reputation at the same time. And then again, like she said, like, hey, you don't meet a certain deadline, then that costs the owner of the company, and then you're liable to get sued because you said you could get it done at this point, and you're not done at this point, and now it's starting to cost me money, and that money is actually going to come out of your check, out of what I'm giving you. So, yeah, that's kind of how it happens.
Where do you feel more safe? Like, because LA and San Francisco
Oh.
area like has this reputation of, having
Yeah.
a lot of crime. But London as well,
Yeah.
like stabbing and stuff, it also exists there. Like, what do you think about this one?
One good thing about this country or any other European country that I know of is that you're not allowed to have guns. Like civilians are not allowed to have guns. So I really appreciate that. That's one thing I really dislike about America is that we still have this gun violence issue. When I
Agreed.
moved here, I
Agreed.
feel like it's slightly, I guess, safer, so to speak, than that San Francisco, because unfortunately, when I went back there, I would see kind of sad situations where it was almost like a third world country
Yeah.
in a way that I would see used up needles or like human feces
Yeah.
everywhere because, the government wasn't really taking care of people who are out on the street, who are mentally ill, who is not able to look after themselves, and the number of these people increase. I don't know, as the city gets richer and richer, they're pushing out like normal people and people lose their
Yeah.
homes and they're on the street. So it was a really kind of sad, and I guess that was a bit, I guess if I think about it, maybe unsafe because, used up needles at the street and you're walking your dog and you don't want your dog to step on it. So I guess in that sense, it was unsafe. When I moved here, I didn't see any of that. So I was like, oh, it's better than San Francisco. But then I
Yeah.
also hear about like people stabbing kids, usually younger people doing that. Yeah, it would be unsafe. I don't really feel that threatened for my life, to be honest with you. Around my shop, this neighborhood, it's central London. I'm located on 112 Cleveland Street in Fitzrovia. You can just come by our shop. We're very interested in making this business as sustainable and eco-friendly as possible. So,
Love that.
sometimes there's just so many people, and around the holiday seasons, I know that there's like theft going on, like Amazon parcels getting stolen very easily.
Crazy
It
work.
happens here, but other than that, I think I feel pretty okay. I was overworking. In America, the working culture was just so horrible. Compared to Asia, maybe it's not as bad from what I hear. But after living in Sweden and seeing how great of like life and work balance there was, and then seeing how I'm slaving away for these like multi-billion-dollar companies, just making that more money, and I was
Yeah.
working 18 hours a day and just
18?
not, my life is not being compensated enough for the amount of work that I was putting into. I was working 18 hours a day and it was not a healthy environment for
That can't be healthy. 18 hours a day is literally, you're not even getting the recommended amount of sleep, dog. So you're not even able to get the recommended amount of sleep. That means you can literally do nothing else with your day, nothing else with your time, but legit work. Like, you literally get off work, shower, sleep, shower, work. That is your entire. That's craziness.
for me. I fell into depression. I just kind of
I
had a
can
nervous
understand.
breakdown towards the end of my corporate career in marketing in America. I just could not stay in the US any longer either because I just felt like all of my peers, they were going through the same thing, but they were just stuck because that's what they know. But then
Yeah.
my dog, I had a Maltese. She actually recently passed away, like in last November. She was nearly 17 years, and
Oh
she
my
traveled the
God.
world with me. She's the biggest love of my life. But I used to brush her hair all the time, and she was always in good shape. And people were complimenting on the way she looked. So I thought maybe I can give it a try dog grooming. And I found school in London with dog grooming. So I decided to enroll and start this
I love
journey.
that
Here I
so
am. I
much.
have my own salon as of last June, and the client base is growing, and I'm happy. Yeah.
I love that so freaking
Oh, you're
much.
so sweet. Thanks for watching the next.
I love that. I love that. I love that. And I freaking love that. That's incredibly beautiful that she found happiness in America, yeah, where she was slaving away. 18 hours a day is insane. Her peers are going through it, but they just, like, you get stuck. Yeah, you get stuck in that cycle. It's all you know. So you continue to do it, and then you got to make rent. And she's talking about she lived in LA or San Francisco. So we're talking about you have to have money to live in these cities. Like, these are big money cities. So it's like, yeah, you're slaving your life away, and you don't have time for anything else. And time is really the most valuable asset when you look at life. Time is much more valuable than money. So she made the right choice, I'd say. She found dog grooming, like, she found a passion in dog grooming through, like, brushing her own dog and grooming her own dog, which is cool. And I'm so glad that she got out of the U.S. And again, like I said, not to bash the U.S. because I do love the country, but there's a lot of people who find happier lives elsewhere, and I'm so glad that they do, because you only get one life, so live it as happy as possible. And yeah, San Francisco. That, to go back to the point on safety, yeah, the safety in San Francisco. If you're not rich, it's horrible out there. Because yeah, you got the rich side of San Francisco. It's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, well taken care of. My days, you're living large. But if you're not on that side, there's another side of San Francisco with the zombies and the needles and the homeless, and it's just these people. Nobody cares about these people. These people have kind of been pushed out by society. And it's scary. That part of San Francisco is scary. And so, and I think that's what it's like in most cities. Like the rich part, the good neighborhood, you're good, but the badder neighborhoods, and it's mm, definitely enjoyed that though. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on that video. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and then check out the next one. I'll see you guys next time.